Hello. Good evening. Apologies about my voice in advance. I haven't got it back yet from that shambolic Villa defeat. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're well. It's all a bit bonkers at the moment. This game might not even go ahead, but what will go ahead is an opposition preview. As I've said already last time out, it was a disappointing 2-0, fairly routine victory for Aston Villa. And up next, we've got to take on the high-flying Hammers, one of the best teams in the league this season, in my opinion. And who better to give us all of the insights than my favourite fan channel that's not Norwich City, of course, is West Ham Fan TV. And, of course, it's Dan and Nicky. Nicky, I'll start with you, matey. How is the feeling around the London Stadium right now? Because I suspect it skyrocketed, and then after that Arsenal defeat last night, it's now not feeling so good again.
Good evening, Chris, by the way. Yeah, it's a weird one because it's a bit split at the moment,
right,
in the camp, because I'm very happy. I'm always very happy when we're in the right end of the table, challenging for the right things. But there have been some performances of late that haven't been too encouraging, and they come with injuries and things like that. And for the squad we've had and have got at the moment, how thin it is, it's quite an achievement of where we are and where we were last year. But with great power comes great responsibility, as a famous superhero once said. And once you get to them heights, you're expected to stay there. And yeah, it's a bit mixed, but I'm quite happy with it. If we're still lingering around the same place come January and we can get some signings in, I'll be a very pleased man. I've seen that I'm a West Ham fan. I'm not a Manchester United fan or a Man City fan. I've seen a lot worse in my time, and I'm always happy when we're doing okay.
So, Nicky, you're happy. Dan, I know from your tweets that you are certainly not happy. And talk to me about this 2-0 defeat then. Like, what the hell happened? And I watched Declan Rice's interview afterwards, and I thought, yeah, fair play. You owned that. So where did it go wrong? And how will that impact this Saturday's game against Norwich City? Because I don't think you'll be as confident now after losing that game.
No, not at all. I mean, Nicky's a lot more of a relaxed fan than me. I mean, wherever we are, if we're in the bottom half, if we're comfortable mid-table for the top, I'm a very anxious, neurotic fan, right? No matter what. And Nicky's had to sit next to me watching many a game, and he knows what I'm like, and that's what I'm like. And yeah, after that performance, I mean, I hate losing to Arsenal. I hate it because I've seen so many times we've battered them off the pitch and they beat us somehow, and it's horrible. And yesterday, we just didn't turn up. We just did not look up for it. We looked disorganized. Nothing that we were trying to do was coming off. I mean, like Nicky said, we have got injuries. You've got to take that into consideration. But at the same time, the players on the pitch there have to do better. They have to do better. Rice called it out and he said it weren't good enough, and it weren't good enough. Like if we're going to be up at this side of the table and the players want to play Champions League or they want to play European football consistently, then they have to go and step up when it's called upon them. And they haven't. The finishing has been awful lately. And we have to dig in and find a way to turn things around, because I think it's 3 games in a row now we haven't scored. Antonio hasn't scored in like 10 games. So yeah, I know you're loving it. Listen, and I'm looking at this Norwich game. I'm not looking at Norwich like I would have been looking at Norwich a month ago or something like that. I'm looking at Norwich like, okay, they've got a new manager and you're not looking like the worst side in the league anymore. You're looking like you're progressing and things are actually, you're looking a bit more organized. I think this is going to be a tough game, and we shouldn't take it for granted at all. You're not the team that just rolls over and gives everyone 3 points anymore.
I tell you what, mate, we certainly did against Aston Villa, but fair enough. And it sounds like actually, I thought you were describing us for a minute in terms of nothing was coming off, giving into the opposition. I thought you were talking about Norwich, but you're talking about West Ham, which is a bit weird because I really do want to reiterate this. And I'm not just saying it in front of you boys. I've been so impressed with West Ham this season. what you've done, how you've done it, the football you've played, the players that you've got. I'm really enjoying watching West Ham at the moment, I have to say. Just a quick interlude. There's people joining us live on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. I will say hello to a few of you. James R says OTBC. Yes, indeed. It might be off the ball City, because this game might actually get called off, which would be rather hilarious. And it might happen whilst we're talking, which would be quite entertaining indeed. Thomas is joining us on Facebook. He says, worried we're going to suffer a West Ham response. Norwich need to turn up. We will be talking about this game in just a short second. But before we do that, Nicky, I want to ask you, Dan is saying he's a bit anxious, possibly going into this one against us. Realistically, how do you think Norwich could hurt West Ham on Saturday?
I think obviously you've got belief now. I think there's an air of belief around the side. I mean, I know you lost the other day, but I mean, we share banter backwards and forwards, Chris. And you know, when Norwich won their first game under Smith, I put a little meme underneath. You know, I was so shocked because, and I mean this with the greatest respect, you were so bad. You know,
yes.
I just could not. I was starting to think, you know, this could be one of the first teams to ever go a Premier League season in single digits, you know, finishing with single digits. And, you know, it was that shocking. But I have seen improvements. I've seen improvements in attitude, in belief, in application. And that could be history as well, could come back to bite us, because teams come to the London Stadium a couple of years ago when we was a bit, I won't use the word, but on our arse. Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. I'll use that. If you're going to willing to use it, I'll use it. When we were shit, teams used to come to the London Stadium, and they used to use it as like a jolly boys out. In it used to be like, oh yeah, we're going to go and play in this big stadium for the day, and we're going to play against a load of tripe there. You know, and we've got a good chance of getting points, and that's where. When we're on our heels, on our lowers, is where we can get hurt, is because teams go there, they start to believe, they start to play the occasion, and we're in a bit of a mess at the moment, you know. And I was saying this today in one of my videos, is that, you know, not many teams in the league can you know, lose their first choice centre backs, let alone their first choice defensive line, and you know, carry on the way they are. It's half a team, you know, whether it's defensively or whatever. It's just the way we play, the way we train, the way we're set up. You lose your whole defensive line, you're going to have problems. You know, ask Liverpool last year. They lost Van Dijk. They had a lot of problems. You know, they hadn't gone something like 3 years not losing at home, and all of a sudden they got beat 8 times on the spin or something like that. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous, the amount of times they got beat. So that's where Norwich are going to be targeting. They're going to be thinking, look, they're a bit at 6s and 7s at the minute. If we get there, get an early goal, silence the crowd, you know what we're like. We can get against, you know, especially with the lower teams in the league, with the expectations rising, we can get on their backs, and it can become very toxic or very hostile very quickly. That's where they'll be thinking they can hurt us. So we've got to be ready for Norwich to come out at 100 miles an hour. I think that's what Norwich will do. They'll be thinking, you know, get the crowd against them, and we've got a chance here.
Just to add to that, where they can hurt us, on the right wing, right, targeting our left back, Arthur Masuaku, because he was an absolute liability against Arsenal. And the problem is, he's a left back who's not a left back. He should be really, he's a left wing back, left winger. He's an attacker. That's what his strengths are. Defensively, he's absolutely awful. When you put him under a bit of pressure, he crumbles and folds. And if you can do that, that's where you guys can get some joy down the right.
Interesting indeed. There's a few Hammers that have joined us. Love to see the Hammers in the house. Well, I'm assuming they are anyway. Aaron Harmer says, be comfortable versus Norwich. Norwich don't have any attacking threat. And to be fair, Aaron, I can't argue against that at the moment. I really can't indeed. Reese has joined us on YouTube. He says, I've got tickets for the game. I really hope it's not cancelled. Of course, we hope it's not cancelled. COVID, etc., is starting to impact a lot of the teams now, but I'll try not to talk about that during this show. Let's try and forget about COVID for a little bit, shall we? Dan, you've said there about the players that potentially the weak area of West Ham's squad. Who are the players going into this game where you're thinking they're really tidy, they're playing really good football at the moment, and they could seriously do damage to Norwich? Who are those most informed players for West Ham?
Yeah, the first obvious one is Declan Rice, isn't it? You know, he's the one. Even when we play bad, he's the best of the bunch. Even when he's not up to his standards, he's still good. I never see him completely being terrible. So without a doubt, he's going to be one of our best players controlling it in the midfield. I think Jared Bowen has been a player for us in our attack that has really been consistent. He's found a consistent vein of form. He's really good at pressing and really applying pressure to defenses. He just sometimes needs to just be a bit more clinical. Takes him a few chances to really find his range. I think, yeah, Bowen is going to be someone that you guys need to look out for. And Antonio, look, we need to see a big performance for him. I'm hoping that this game, obviously, he scored that historic 4 goals against you guys, I believe it was. At Carrow Road. So I'm hoping he can dig deep and find a little bit of that form again. And this could be exactly what he needs as a confidence booster, because he's just been off the bar. I think I said it's been like 10 games or so since he scored. So hopefully, if you've got a hungry Antonio that day, that could be a real threat for you guys. But yeah, the 2 main ones I'd say is Bowen and Rice for me at the moment.
Dan, I had a lot of respect for you before you came on this show. And after you've said that, it has really put me on bottom deck again, I have to say. I'm still haunted by that day at Carrow Road. Antonio just absolutely destroyed us. And didn't he pull out one of his rather entertaining cellos that day as well? I think he did, didn't he? So anyway, let's hope and pray that we don't get a repeat of that for sure. Nicky, I want to talk about David Moyes, if you don't mind, because I think it's really worth zooming in on him as a gaffer. He's now being plauded and acclaimed as being one of the best managers in the league, behind Pep, Klopp, Tuchel. Really interested to know your thoughts, because I remember speaking to you last time we were in the Prem, and I've obviously watched your channel continuously over the years. You guys were in a real pickle, and even when David Moyes first took over, it was really bad. There was lots of toxic stuff going on inside the stadium. And now he seems to be, for me, like the most important piece of the West Ham jigsaw puzzle. Would you agree with that?
I would, because he's done so much around the place. We was a team with no direction, no ethos, no identity. And he's brought that all back to the club. And he's done everything, and I mean this with the greatest respect, against all odds, because he's not going to get the backing from the chairman that other managers would, because they're just not that way inclined. I'll be honest, I think they're winding down. They don't want to put no more money in, and that's that. I think they're waiting for a sale. I think that next year is when they can sell the club. I think there's an agreement now to sell the club to somebody, right, or there's an option to. So they're never going to get the backing of them. On top of that, he had a lot of the fan base that, including myself, that absolutely berated him. I didn't like him when he first came.
Yeah,
I didn't like the football we played. I thought it was boring. I thought it was lethargic. I thought it was much the same. And to be honest, the first time round, in my opinion, I think we only stayed up. And it would have been no fault of his, but you end up reacting to what's in front of you. But we only stayed up because there was 3 worse teams. In my opinion, I don't think we was great at all. And I wanted him gone. I just said, right, and I was one of them people that looked at the time at, I keep on saying Villarreal, but it wasn't. It was Real Sociedad. I don't know why I keep on Villarreal in my head. Sunderland and Manchester United, and his stock had fallen so low. So I look at that and I thought to myself, he's just not a good manager anymore. He's just not got it in him anymore. You get these managers. Arsenal thought that about Arsene Wenger. He was a revolutionary when he first came. By the time he finished, they called him a dinosaur. Jose Mourinho was the same. He was a breath of fresh air when he first came in. By the time he left Tottenham, nobody wanted to touch him again.
Yeah.
So I was in that. He's lost it. He's lost the plot. But he's exactly what we needed. And I do some work with you know, my full-time job with people at the training ground. And I spoke to the head groundsman there, and he said that the place has never been more alive than you know, the time that David Moyes, and he's been there for a long time, 20-something years. It's never been more alive. It's never been more together. Everybody talks. There's no egos. There's no splits in the dressing room. There's no split in the staff. Everybody talks. Everybody gets involved in everything. And I think that's a real important thing to do.
Yeah.
In this day and age, it's a difficult thing to do because people have got multi-million, you know, they're multi-millionaire. It's like they can finish work and pop off to France for the afternoon and then come back, you know, all no problems. You know, I think Joe Cole used to commute to Lille from London. You know, it's that sort of thing. Money is no object to them nowadays, but they don't. They all sit around, they all speak, they all, you know, I think Lingard came in last year and he was a breath of fresh air. And he got onto the team coach and he pulled out his mobile phone or put some headphones on. And Noble went over to him and said, "We don't do that here. We talk." And it's, you know, it's just changed the whole ethos of the club, and it's a good place to be at the moment as a fan.
There's some parallels here, Nicky, and thanks for sharing. You're right. I can see that as well. It's very obvious that David Moyes has changed the culture within West Ham, but it shows how important it is to stick with a gaffer and stop hiring and firing. That's what Norwich City, of course, have done under Daniel Farke, going down, going back up again, although it looks to be going down again, but we'll not talk about that. So that's one thing. But the other thing is what you're talking about here in terms of culture, all being on the same hymn sheet. That's something that Norwich have had in place for ages. So I feel quite grateful hearing that from you, because that's something that we've done quite well, to be fair. And Dan, I want to ask you, where do you think West Ham will be at the end of the season? Where do you think you'll finish? And where do you hope West Ham will be in 3 seasons' time? Because you've got the players, you've got the stadium, you've probably not got the training ground, you've got a very good manager. So what's going to happen between now and the end of the season and now and 3 seasons' time?
I mean, yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, you're asking me this question ahead of a January transfer window, which I think could change everything for us. I think if we don't invest, I think we could miss out on Europa League and potentially maybe just get that Conference League. We're still in the Carabao Cup. We're going to be in the FA Cup. We're going to be in the Europa League. We're in the round of 16 with that, and obviously the Premier League. Trying to sustain all those competitions with these players, something's got to give. And if we don't come and bring in reinforcements, I think a lot of them could suffer, and especially the league, and will fall down the league. So if we do what we need to do in January, which is get Lingard back in, get a striker, and get a centre back, then I think we're good for another sort of sixth place finish. Which I think, you know, you talked a bit about 3 years' time. You know, the big thing for me, and look, there's talk about Champions League, and we'd love to be there, and it's something that's a dream. It's an absolute dream. See your team perform in the most elite competition in the world is amazing. However, my goal has always been consistency, right? I want to see consistency. So I want us to be in that Europa League spot at the end of this season, end of next season, the season after, like in and around these spaces, competing around, floating around the edge. So if we're finishing constantly in that Europa League competition 3 years, 4 years running, that's when we've built that consistency, because our problem has always been good season, bad season.
No. Good season, 10 bad seasons.
Bad, good, bad, good. Middle of the road.
Join the club.
Isn't it? Like you have that. It's just you want to be up there. And look, for us, doing, you know, we all do collaborations with other channels and podcasts. When getting to go onto these other channels with all these big six fans, right, getting to puff your chest out and go, yeah, we're in the conversation for the top 4 race. It's amazing. So it's good. It is. It's everyone's looking at you and the expectation. That's why it's always really heartbreaking, you know, in that aspect when you get back down to reality and you're like,
especially when it's Arsenal, right? For you boys,
of all the teams.
And
Yeah.
there's loads of comments coming in on all of the socials. Massive thank you for that. And don't forget, if you are watching the TNC podcast and the Opposition Preview Live, do screenshot your screen or share wherever you're watching it. Tag us in it. We'll retweet it as a thanks for your support. There's loads of really good comments in. I really like this one from Mitchell. He says, Dan and Nicky are sexier than Right Said Fred.
Do you know what? I posted
it's not the first time we've heard that.
No, it's been quite a lot. I posted like an happy birthday thing to Nicky the other day. It's a couple of days ago, his birthday, and there's a picture of us. Yeah, big happy birthday to Nicky. And we was at like some FIFA thing, and we took a picture together. So many comments saying Right Said Fred have aged badly, and yeah. So it's a common
used to get
thing.
The Mitchell brothers as well. We used to get that quite a bit.
Yeah. So we get it quite a bit.
We get the Norfolk Hampton deck. We get all sorts. Brian Thompson, I said I wouldn't talk about COVID, but as soon as you've done a super chat, and thank you so much. He says, all these injuries and COVID cases, what can we do? Truth be told, not much. And particularly with our squad, as you can see, completely depleted. Sam Byram having to play in centre midfield against Aston Villa wasn't particularly ideal after 2 years out. And loads of lovely comments coming in. Let's just quickly go back to the agenda, though. Let's start to talk about Norwich now. Nicky, what have you made of Norwich this season? I know you've touched upon it there. You thought we were absolutely shite at the start of the season. So perhaps give us some words on Norwich City under Dean Smith. Do you think we've got a chance of surviving now he's in charge?
Yes, I do. I do think you've got a chance of surviving. They're not, as I say, the difference. Obviously, I'm not going to watch every minute of every game. It's impossible for us to watch every minute of every game. You'd be watching everyone. But from what I've seen of Norwich from the beginning to now, is that Dean Smith has bought something. Now, what it is, you'll be able to tell me more. But I believe it's belief and belief in themselves. Because, look, I've got goal scoring issues, but Pookie can score goals. You've seen it. It's been proven, right? So it needs someone to turn around and go, you can score. Look at the last time he was in the Premier League, he scored 6 in 6, and you ended up the season with 10, 11, 12 goals. We know you can score goals. You can defend. You've now beaten so-and-so. You've now beaten so. And it's just a belief. It's just getting the players to believe, because I believe some of them were just resigned to being there for the season and enjoying themselves and all that. And it can be, for these players, it can be overwhelming at the start. You're looking around and you're playing a game and you come from the Championship, and all of a sudden you're looking at Ronaldo on the pitch, same pitch, and you're thinking, wow, look at Ronaldo. And by the time you know it, he scored 3 goals and you're 3-0 down. I've seen it so many times, especially when West Ham have come up for the Championship. But it also seems to me like you're a very good Championship side, but your board are sort of taking that stance of the West Brom model. Yeah, bounce around for a couple of seasons, come up, go down, collect all them parachute payments, and then try and stay up. I might be completely wrong, Chris. If I'm wrong, please, tell me.
No, you're right. You're right. The difference is, though, Nicky, is that the money. Like, look, if you look at our finances, mate, we haven't got the finances to compete until we have until we have new owners. It's almost impossible for Norwich.
Isn't your owner worth 38 million or something like that?
It's more like 25, Dan. It's barely anything at all.
In football these days, that's nothing at all.
Well, exactly. It's absolutely. It's literally Delia's down to her last peanuts, boys. So that's why I like to hear those positive words from you, Nicky, because it's like, I think I always say everyone should support Norwich because we're trying to do it the right way. We're not trying to, we haven't got all of this Russian money or this or that, just piling it in. We haven't got that. So it is really difficult for us. And Dan, I suspect that the answer to this might be no. But if I was to force you and say I had a gun to your head and said you have to sign a Norwich player in the January transfer window, who would it be and why?
I mean, like Nicky alluded, it would be Pookie because we need a striker. And I was actually talking about this with Jace the other day on our channel. I think it was a watch along. We was talking about Pookie, and because obviously, look, I met up with you, didn't I? When you was in the Premier League last time, and Pookie was on a great run. Do you remember? And I was like, we're going to end the Pookie party, and he didn't score then, and I think he didn't score for a while after that. and he never really found that form in the Premier League again. And it was that wonder of, okay, if you bring a Pukki into West Ham with the creative players we've got, with the chances we have, what could he do at West Ham? And I think as competition for Antonio, I think that would be a very good signing. I'd absolutely love to see what he could do. However, there's not a chance in hell you'd sell him to us in January, because that's just like
anything else, mate.
Yeah, exactly. That's just like, hey, it's I'm very interested actually, because you talked about Byram, and he's a player for me. I really liked him when we had him. Like from the first game, he showed his quality. However, injuries, right back has been a cursed position for us for many years. We don't even sign no one for that position. We're depleted, or the players we do sign get injured, and he was one of those. And I'm very interested to see how he's done for you guys, because for us, injuries held him back, but I did like him. Well, he sold him to you for nothing.
Well, yeah, and this speaks volumes regarding the money point, Nicky. So our record, not our record signing, the player that we spent the most money on last time we were in the Premier League was Sam Byram for £300,000. That's literally that says it all. We haven't got a pot to piss in, seriously.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a really important point to make. But Dan, regarding Byram, I'm sure loads of people, loads of Norwich fans in particular, would agree with me on this point. He was heroic against Manchester City, where it was that classic Premier League David versus Goliath 3-2 victory at Carrow Road. But then he got injured, and we've literally not seen him since. So to see him back is encouraging, because he has got that experience playing for teams like West Ham in the Premier League. So that is a major plus. Nicky, I want to ask you now for some memorable games over the years. Are there any games between West Ham and Norwich that stand out, or have they all been just a bit crap for you?
The last one,
the 2 win at your place.
That was a good game. But I mean, the last one we played at Carrow Road, it was. I mean, that's always going to stick in your mind. I think it's the first time we ever see someone score 4 goals in the Premier League. Am I right, Dan, in saying that?
It was. Yeah, that was. It was to see us. Yeah, the first time since, I think, 82 or something for West Ham, or it was something like in the Norwich, in the Newcastle game, it might have been when we won like 8-2 or something. It was the first time.
I can't remember the result, but I remember a couple of ding dong battles we had in the Championship when we was down there. I think they wasn't always, we thought we was going to we thought we was the big dogs in the Championship, and we got our asses handed to us a few times by quite a few people, and I think you might have been one of them.
Yeah, there was the draw, the 2 draw in 2015, where you came to Upton Park and we got the draw, and that was that we started that first few run of games, like we drew with you guys. I think we might have lost to someone like Watford at home or something, like some bad results, and where it made us think like, geez, this last season at Upton Park is going to be a bad one. And after that, we just kicked on from there. But I remember that game being really frustrating, and that was the first time I think I saw your channel.
Well, that's when you invited us on. That was when we
went. You guys did a vlog, I think, as well of that game. I think you was at that one. I can't remember if you was.
Yeah, it was one of the best. Honestly, that it's genuinely still one of the best.
Was that the one where Snoddy got the equaliser?
Or
the winner? Might have even been a winner.
I think I know Redmond scored.
2-2. Sacco scored, and Chiarte, I think.
And Johnny Howson, as Phoebe has said, picked up the pigeon off the pitch. Do you remember that, boys?
Pigeon, yeah.
The famous pigeon. Great shout, Phoebe. And that was the day where you had Adrian in between the sticks that game. And I remember he turned into bloody Buffon. He was ridiculous. He saved like 4, like just hitting his shoulder, his face. He was absolutely.
I think we were losing and we got a last minute equaliser.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
You guys did a good
game at Carrow Road when Noble absolutely thunderblasted one right in the top corner.
I don't remember that. I don't know what you're on about, Nicky.
That was.
I can't remember what the score was, but I just remember.
I think we won.
There have actually been some really memorable games like that one, that 2-2, and at Upton Park, the Bowen. By the way, proper stadium. That I still think you guys shouldn't have moved from there, but we'll leave that alone today. I also remember us playing at Carrow Road when we had Harry Kane on loan and he missed a sitter in front of your GK. And I also remember you guys were the first team that played against us when we opened what was the Gerald stand at the time as well. So we have actually got quite a close connection and loads of players in common as well.
The great Dean Ashton, obviously.
Oh, mate, Dino. We love Dino. The original Dino, as we know him as, and was obviously absolutely class for you. If it wasn't for injuries, I think he would have been one of your best players of all time. I really do, really think that. And boys, we're getting to the crescendo of this conversation, the question that I have to ask you. But before we get there, let's talk about the head-to-head from over the years. You guys are in front, as you might expect. We've won 22 games. You've won 30 games and we've drawn 22 times. So we'll kickstart with you, Nicky. What is your head saying for a score prediction? And what is your heart saying?
My head says 3-0 to us. But my heart, I might get this wrong way around, but my heart says it's going to be a scrappy game. And I would take a 1-0.
Yeah, I think you got your wrong way around there, Nick.
Yeah, whatever.
But that's good. I like the fact that you're a bit mixed up there, Nicky. That shows that you're not so confident about this.
Chris, I've seen these go wrong many a time. I've seen, I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen it. We're capable of it, which will give you hope, But, I want to say we'll win. And I want to say we'll win comfortably, but I want to win every game comfortably.
Well, see.
I will take a scrappy 1-0 win now. We just need the points, and I know you do. And it's not a coincidence that last week, the Manchester United game, the Liverpool game, Manchester United against you guys, the Liverpool game, the Man City game, when they're playing the teams at the bottom, that now they're getting scrappy 1-0 victories with a penalty, dubious penalties as their winners, because it's this time of year when the top teams, because of the competitions they're in, they start to get tired and injuries and fatigue starts to set in, and it's this time of the year when the teams at the bottom can really get their heels in and get their and start scrapping and think, right, we need to pick up points now, and this is the opportunity. So I'm never confident, never. I would take a scrappy 1-0 win.
Well, if we're going to lose, I'll take a 1-0 loss as well. Dan, what's your head saying? What's your heart saying, mate?
My head says it's going to be a hard-fought 2-1 victory to West Ham. I think I think it's going to be a tough one, and I think the way the crowd's going to be, if, like I said, if the game goes ahead and all the crowd's there, it's going to be one of those ones where, because we need to win it and there's the expectation that we should win it, the crowd it's going to be tense. The longer that it goes on, we're not doing anything and we're getting frustrated, you're not going to hear the fans really in full voice until we've got that goal and the nerves have calmed. It was like, right, now I can enjoy it. It's going to be tension. So that could play out and give you guys a bit of an advantage. My heart says 4-0 West Ham, just because I said this. We need a response. It's not going to happen, but I want to see that, because we have to come now and respond to the poor performances that we've seen, and something like that, a result like that. We need to not just scrape a win against Norwich. We need to win convincingly to really bring that confidence back in and give us that momentum. It's not going to, like I said, I think it's going to be a lot harder than a lot of people think, but hopefully something happens and we can do it.
Well, we've heard from Nicky and Dan, and for all of the people that are watching live, get in your score predictions on. I'll get as many up on screen as possible. Let's just quickly go to the comment section before I share what my head and what my heart is saying. I can assure you they're very different to these boys. Ryan Thompson in with a comment in the super chat. Thank you so much. He says, unfortunately, I think Farke might have already done too much damage at the start of the season. However, Smith is just such a breath of fresh air. Yeah, Ryan, I think I'd be inclined to agree with that. I do think a lot of damage has been done. I think Dino's now having to go through basically a whole pre-season. And as Gibson said in his post-match presser, sorry, in his post-match interview, he said that actually it's the first time under Dean Smith that we were really disappointing. So I think we can take spirit from that. I also do believe when you look at those narrow losses that we've had, you know, to Manchester United, for example, you know, Jakob Sorensen, you know, pocketing CR7 for the whole game. You know, I do still think the belief is there. As Nicky said, I think that we've got that injected into our side. Let's quickly get up another couple of comments. Alex in with the banter. He's Ross Kemp in disguise. Ross Kemp in disguise. Nicky Hawkins is Ross Kemp in disguise.
Phil Mitchell, more like.
Yeah, I like to take the Grant, and he's the Phil.
To be fair, I'd take Ross Kemp in disguise. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh,
Let's get some score predictions on now. James is 2-1 City. Cool, blimey, Riley. I'll take that. Mr. Radio Floyd is in the house as always. He says 0-0. I'll take that as well. Ben says West Ham will go 1-up and we will get nervous. Then Norwich will get a late equaliser. Ben,
seen it many times, many times.
Kevin's in the house as well. Another scrappy draw, Chris. 1-1, but obviously my heart says 1-0 Norwich. Good man, Kevin. Right, my head is saying, and I'm really sorry to say this, a routine 3-0 win for West Ham, because our side is so depleted. I am happy to admit I'm seriously intimidated going to West Ham. Normally, I'd think, you know what, we can rough these boys up a little bit. We can get under their skin because, as you've said, the fans sometimes can turn. I just think the quality is going to be too much for us. However, my heart says a shithouse 1-0 win. There you go. A shithouse 1-0 win. Boys, I really want to address something now that's really important, and I know that will be important to you guys as well. And a lot of people would have seen this on my social media this week. Plenty of you would have seen my tweet about this. There's a little girl called Isla Caton. Her family are massive West Ham fans, and they've received the worst news in the world this week regarding their daughter's cancer being incurable and only having weeks to live. So I kind of really wanted to rally the troops. Hopefully the game goes ahead, of course. And if it does, I'm asking everyone that's watching this now, that's going to the game as a Norwich fan or even West Ham fans as well, on the 7th minute, we're asking everyone to join the West Ham fans in singing There's Only One Isla Caton. And I'd really ask you today, as it's Christmas, please do head over to the Just Giving page and even just throw in a quid, because they're trying to make as many special memories for Isla as possible whilst she's still here on planet Earth. God rest her soul. And if you can't do that and you don't want to donate, please do send some yellow and green love to @Isla's on Twitter. That's their social media handle. And also, if you do donate tonight, take a screenshot of your donation, tag in @Isla's on Twitter, and also tag in myself, and I'll retweet absolutely all of them. I really, really want to make sure that we can do everything that we can to support their family. And my last message on behalf of myself and the TNC community, I really want to, say to Nicola, who's Isla's mum, I really want to say that we are sending you all of the peace, the love, the strength, the support in the world right now. And we're, of course, praying for a miracle for Isla. Dan, Nicky, have you got some words for Isla's family and perhaps the Norwich and West Ham fans at the game on Saturday?
First of all, I'd like to say that's a real, class message, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
It's a pleasure, mate.
To do that. Look, we've known Isla and Isla's family for a long time now. Ryan, who is on our channel, has been doing stuff with Isla's family for around 4 years.
Wow.
5 years. I want to give him a bit of a shout out, really. I know he doesn't really like it, but he does a lot of stuff that he doesn't sort of mention behind the scenes on our channel. And he's, he can be the rock of our channel when it comes to sort of charity stuff. And he worked with Isla's cousin, so he was one of the first people to hear of Isla's fight, and he went out his way, and he never announces it, he never makes a fuss about it, and he's done a lot behind the scenes, but it's devastating. We've been so close to, there's a lot of fans out there that raised a lot of money for Isla's fight, And none of it's been in vain, because every penny that they've raised and has given her extra time on this earth. And unfortunately, I know, they got the worst news, but it's devastating for the family. But it's one of those things that life throws at you, and it's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible situation. But she needs to have the best of the rest of the time she has left, and everyone's given so generously. But it's time. We know the fight is almost over. So just let her enjoy the rest of the time she has left, and let the family enjoy their daughter without, of course, there's going to be stress and heartache, but try and make them forget it for a little while. And if you can donate anything, it's all important. And the efforts won't be wasted, and they haven't been wasted. It's a brilliant backing from the West Ham fans to an unfortunate situation, and I just wish them all the best. I couldn't imagine. I've got kids myself, Chris, and I couldn't imagine, what the family's going through. And I just hope that they find their peace and strength.
Don't we all? Dan, any words for Isla's family?
Yeah, I mean, look, I spent thousands and thousands of hours talking on YouTube, and it's stuff like this is where I always struggle to come up with words. It's really, I always find it very difficult to express myself on things like this, but it's just to say that, all the, not just West Ham fans, but our football community, is behind the family, and, wishes them all the best. And like you said, I'm there. I don't know anything about what's going on, but I'm just hoping that there is some way, somehow, that there's a miracle. And if not, I just wish them all the best, and just to really have every day feel like it's just last as long as possible, and just be the best memories, and that's it. And what anyone can do to support that, it's appreciated. Like Chris said, whether it's a bit of money, a few quid here and there, or just messages of support, it's all really appreciated, I'm sure.
Seriously, guys, and I appreciate you both chipping in there, Dan and Nicky. Just one more time, do something positive today. Give a little bit of cash to Isla's Fight at Isla's Fight on Twitter. You'll find the Just Giving link. And if not, just retweet the messages, send them a tweet, and just wish them well, because I know all too well the impact that cancer can have. And I can't imagine, as Nicky said, what that's going to feel like for Nicola and her family. So thank you for whatever you choose to do after watching this video, whether you're doing it live or whether you're watching back. And as I've already said, I will retweet every single message. All you need to do is tag in Isla's Fight and tag in myself. Let's really show what the Yellow Army is all about. And I'm sure the West Ham fans as well. And as I say, if the game is on this weekend, 7th minute, do sing There's Only One Isla Caton, because the family will take a lot of spirit from that. And it will be something that it will really help them in the years to come through their grieving process. So on a somber note, thank you for that, and thank you so much for both of you boys for talking about the menial thing, which is the football. I really appreciate you coming on. And as again, I have to say this: you boys don't realise how much you've helped Jack and I. We've been, we've actually looked up to you and what you guys do and how you do it, and the opportunity that you've given us. And I want to say big up to West Ham Fan TV. Make sure you go and follow these boys on Twitter, and also West Ham Fan TV. And any final words, boys?
No, I just say, I look a lot to you guys and what you guys do, because, I think what you guys do it really well. Everything you do is polished, it's professional. It's really something I always look at, see a club where you've built up such a good following for a club that isn't. And it's hard. We know it's hard versus the clubs that are competing at the top. It's much easier to build a big following. You're always in the news. And, when you're having to play in the Championship and you're playing against, I don't know, Bradford on a Tuesday or something, or any of these sort of teams, it's a lot. It's a real grind. And I think you guys have really worked hard over the years for everything that you've got, and I think you guys should be a real inspiration to a lot of fan channels.
Cheers, fella. Thank you so much.
I echo that. I've known Jack a bit longer than I've known yourself, Chris, because we used to do stuff at Ball Street. But ever since I met you two guys, we love talking to you. You helped me through a very personal dark side with some words, and you probably never know how much that meant to me at the time. And there was a lot of them. So took your time out to do that, and I really appreciate it. But I always appreciate you guys. As Dan said, you say you look up to us, but my opinion, we look up to you because it's so polished. It's
boys.
You're
the fan channel, love it,
and we're the little ruffians. So.
Has there ever been a fan channel loving this strong? I don't think
so. No.
I don't think
no.
Thank you, boys. Thank you so much to everyone that's watched. If you are watching back or you're watching live, do hit that like button on YouTube, leave a comment, get involved in the conversation. And lastly, there's only one Isla Caton and On the Ball City for Saturday.